Welcome to Coney Island. Friday night.
Well, they were my high school teachers from Grisey Area High School, and they played a lot of school events, and they played at the auditorium, gymnasium, stuff like that. And I actually got to play with them my senior year for senior talent show. They came on the end and played with my high school band, which was really cool and a lot of fun. I think they started the band because of one of their colleagues had a sick son, and they wanted to raise some money, help out with finances, and help out with hospital bills and stuff. It's cool to see them now and just still doing music together, just doing stuff for the community, doing stuff at shows, and seeing them later, even out of high school. It just really needs kind of just a relationship that most people don't have.
I found out about Treebeard Brown by working with pretty much everybody in the group. Brian Brown is a good friend of ours, Ken Isles and I, we all work together. And whenever they started this project, we talked about it frequently every day. It's been really nice for the students. I think they see a little bit of a human element from some of their teachers and to know what they're about. They don't just sit in their classroom all the time. For me, it just let me realize pretty early that I was working with a pretty special group of people. Jacob Treebeard is such a great kid, and just talking with him a few minutes ago to see how much he's grown up and what it represents, not just the people in it, but ultimately Jacob's path and his journey is a special one for all of us to work with Brian and have gotten to know their family so well.
Instrument that I play, guitar and percussion. Those are my.
Yeah, I play guitar and bass and sing.
I play harmonica sometimes.
Harmonica sometimes, yeah.
And the little bells.
The little,
China bells.
what are those? Finger cymbals. That's what it is.
Percussion and singing.
I play mostly the mandolin. I play guitar and concertina and a little harmonica too.
I play the bass and sometimes guitar, depending on the song.
The instrument that I play is banjo for the band.
Yes, it's classic rock, kind of like as a folkish classic rock.
Yeah, I'll call it classic rock turned into our own version of Americana folk. And I wouldn't say we make it so much as we copy it from other people, and then we make it our own.
At one point or another, they were my teacher in high school. I'm a former student of each of the band members, and I think it got to a point that I just started showing up at the shows enough, and they learned that I knew how to play an instrument, that they just asked me to start playing with them, and luckily, fortunately, I've been glad to play with them since, probably for the past 2 to 3 years.
Teaching is the career now, but I get to use a lot of acting skills, I guess, or performance skills in class. So I wanted to be a rock and roll star, though, when I started. So I almost got there as a teacher.
Born and raised in Grove City, and I would call it probably a welcoming community as far as welcoming not only outsiders, but anybody else who's probably involved with the school district for sure. And as far as our shows go, the people that show up, probably 80 to 90% of them are from the Grove City, Slippery Rock area.
Treebeard, Brown, we named after the son of one of our teacher friends.
Backstory of the name Treebeard Brown, really I'll give all credit to that to Ken Isles, because we really didn't have a real name up until he suggested. We'd started playing benefits for Jacob Treebeard Brown, Brian Brown's son. Ken came to us one day in school, I remember, and said, "What do you think about the name Treebeard Brown?" And it fit. It was perfect for who we are. All the backstory of doing our first shows really as benefits to raise money for Brian and his family when they were going back and forth between Children's in Cincinnati, I believe it was. And Brian was off work, so it made perfect sense. And we checked with Brian. Brian was flattered and stuck ever since.
Brian and I were best friends before this happened. It was funny, we both got hired the same exact day to be teachers at the high school. They needed 2 English teachers that year, and Brian and I both were hired, so we developed a very close bond from that. And then we taught right next to each other. His room and my room were right next to each other, so we were very close friends and remain very close friends.
My son's name is Jacob Treebeard Brown. Treebeard is a character in The Lord of the Rings. We've used the tree as a symbol for him his whole life. We pray Psalm 1 over him every night, which is, "He is like a tree planted by streams of water, which yields its fruit in season and whose leaf does not wither." So for him, the whole idea of growing up and growing stronger and bearing fruit in season has been a really powerful one. He was born with a genetic condition called ectodermal dysplasia with immunodeficiency, which is a very, very, very rare genetic condition, and it affects the signaling pathways for his skin and his teeth and his sweat glands, and in his case, his immune function. And so from a very early age, about 6 weeks old, he had a series of life-threatening infections, and really the only cure for his condition is a bone marrow transplant. But then just a couple of days later, he was back in the hospital, and that's I think when the doctors realized there was something really unusual going on. And from there, we wound up transferring down to Cincinnati, and so he was in Cincinnati for several more months until they were able to kind of clear those infections. But then he'd be in and out of the hospital up to the point where they decided that he was going to have a transplant. And he got necrotizing fasciitis, which is like the flesh-eating disease, and they had to, he was almost, if they wouldn't have been able to act on it, and when they did, he would have probably lost his arm. And so they had to make a series of incisions, and that was right before his birthday, and he was just so cheerful through that whole thing. He was laughing and talking, and they took the stitches out on his birthday, and he's like, "Oh, I get a great birthday gift." He was just brave and tough. You know, it's strange maybe to admire a child, but I really have a lot of admiration for him.
Big shout out to Lego, because that is such a wonderful pastime for kids that are confined to a bed in the hospital. And I always say that Legos totally can describe my 2 children, because JT always, he would follow the directions to the T. He had to have every, piece in place.
Destroyed by Smog the dragon, so they had to rebuild it on the lake.
There's a Lord of the Rings set of Legos, and there's a Treebeard character. And so he wanted to meet the guys who had designed this Treebeard character. So Make-A-Wish flew our entire family to Denmark, where the headquarters are of Lego, and JT got to meet the 2 guys that built Treebeard.
How Brian responded to the question of us helping him with the band. Initially, there's the I don't need any help. I'm pretty sure I recall that happening up front, but we just did things without him. We did some of the benefits just, we wanted to bless the family, so we just went ahead with it anyway, and we didn't put any sort of stipulations on how you use this money. Like, you use it how, if you wanted to put it into a college fund for his kid, we didn't care. We really just wanted to bless the family. So maybe there was that initially, but when we came to him, when Ken brought the idea up about the name of the band, I think that was the most flattering moment. He's always been supportive.
I feel that music brings people together, and I think direct proof of that is the people that show up to the shows that we give. Typically it's a lot of the same people, but word gets around and a lot of other people start showing up. So not only the music that we play, but the way music is today, just with different genres, with different kind of motivations behind it. It definitely brings people together.
During the transplant year, there was just an unbelievable outpouring of love and support and generosity from family, from friends, from strangers, and the whole Grove City community really got involved with that. And the band was great. I remember first hearing about it, it just made me smile so much. When you're living in a hospital room day after day after day, it can get pretty small. And the band was a bright link to the outside world for us during those days, and it was really very encouraging to know that people were thinking about us, pulling for us, praying for us, making music for our son. It was great, very encouraging.
I think, you know, he comes out when he can. He enjoys hearing. He's played with us.
They were very kind and hospitable, and asked if I would play with them. And I actually played the song "Yellow" during the street fair here. And that was a very moving experience for me because there's lyrics in the song that says, you know, your skin and bones become something beautiful. And that was really what we had hoped for all along, going through this journey with JT. And so that moment, being on the stage with my good friends, singing that song to my kid who was standing out in the street and who was getting slowly but surely better, was really neat. He had just turned 3 in August of 2003, and he's 11 right now. So he's 8 years out of the transplant. He'll be turning 12 this August. So, and it's been a long road, certainly, and he's had some setbacks, and he's had to power through some. You know, some of the times when he was sickest actually has been after the transplant. But he's got through that, and he's getting stronger every day. He's growing up into just a real cool little kid, and in many ways kind of wise for his years. I think he doesn't take much for granted either, and I think he realizes how lucky he is and how fortunate he is.
The Treebeard Brown band that formed when we were going through transplant, it was overwhelming, just the coolness of it, and we had so much love and support from all our family and friends. And when you're going through such a hard thing like that, they really freed us up to be able to be focused and be there with JT, because we weren't worrying, you know, so much about financial things. And and it just was neat, because that group of guys is just such a really neat group of guys. And then it's so wonderful now to like go and hear them playing, and you know, they've become somewhat of celebrities here in Grove City. And so I think it's all worked out wonderful, and it was a great thing that they did to help us financially.
We're living the life that we could only have imagined. He's going to school, goes to Sunday school, he rides his bike, wrestles with his brother. We just feel really, really blessed and lucky, because we know that there's a lot of kids who never get this, and never get to have this big life that he's having right now. So we really feel blessed and lucky. Grateful for the doctors, grateful for the woman who donated her bone marrow to save his life. You know, this is what you hope for. Before the transplant, the doctors told us that he had a life expectancy of about 10. So I mean, I remember when he turned 10, we were like, you know, yes, you know, he's done it, and he's doing great. He seems to be, you know, living large.
Rock me, mama, like a southbound train. Hey.